Third Friday Eve, Webs. This is the last full week of summer school that your bro has to go through, which I'm loving that. 3 days next week, and then I'm off on vacation to go sit down and eat crabs for a whole week. It's gonna be wonderful. The blue crabs are calling me, so it'll be wonderful to kind of deal with that for a little while. How you doing today, Webs?
I'm doing pretty well. Wrapped up the mobile learning conference yesterday. Always have fun hanging out with those folks. I have an AMA tomorrow on cloud security with Women Who Code Cloud, which I'm kind of excited for.
AMA meaning.
Um, Ask me anything.
So does that
So,
actually mean ask you anything, or is that like are there like boundaries that you can't go
I mean,
through?
it's
Or
generally like on the topic of cloud security. I know like they do AMAs on
like
Reddit,
Twitter
I
and stuff?
think, and then
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like more open to
yeah.
anything because usually it's like a famous person or whatever. So it's not limited to like professional stuff. They can ask like personal questions. I mean, not overly personal, like you still want to be polite to people. But yeah, it'll mostly be around the topic of cloud security and general. I guess it gets slightly more into general security because I've seen some of the questions people have asked.
Mm,
And so we'll see how it goes. This is my first ever AMA. So
indeed, indeed. What time is this?
I'm a little nervous.
What time is it?
It's at 10 a.m.
I may pop in and just like pepper questions at about random stuff. I have nothing to know. I have no idea about it whatsoever. Just say random stuff.
Actually, it'd be interesting just to hear from like someone who's not in the tech field because there's a lot of like obviously tech centric questions
Yeah.
because it's meant to be for the Women Who Code Cloud group.
Mm.
So it'd be interesting to hear from somebody who's not in tech what it sounds like to be what it feels like to be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Yeah. I was going to ask the question: Do I need a password manager? I was gonna keep it. I was gonna keep it like really low, so the bar would be very. You could just knock that out the park. Like, yes, of course you need one. Let me tell you
That'd
something.
be great.
Yeah. I mean, I'll try to if I'm not engaged with. There's a dude who's doing podcasting at school, and I went to his classroom today, and very interesting setup he's got. Very interesting setup. So maybe
Teacher or student?
teacher who's doing his class. So, and this is totally off the topic, but it's on topic as well. The thing that kind of disturbs me, all right, and I'm going to say this again as a practitioner for 18 years, someone who tries to be as right brained as possible in a classroom. One of the most interesting things that has happened this school year, or this summer, is that teachers have freed themselves from the oppressive bonds of curricula. They're doing podcasting and dance and all that kind of stuff like that. But the disturbing thing is that in August, we're probably going to go right back to the bonds of the curricula, right? And forget the freedom that you had, that the challenge to say, how do I take this thing that was really fun, that the kids liked, that everyone was in, and embed that in the bondage that I have to put kids in. Even though it might be difficult, even though you might have to shoehorn it a little bit, that would be far more worth it in terms of authentic engagement, going back to Schlechte, than, you know what, let's do algebra in
Worksheets.
in a vacuum. Like, okay. Now we're not going to talk algebra on a podcast, the Making Math Happen podcast, in which everybody has to go and answer questions and stuff, and be able to go in on the podcast, explain why certain things are true, or explain why some kind of mathematic phenomenon happens. No, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is go right on back to how it was, because we don't want whatever to happen, right? And that is the thing that, like, you get super happy, and then you're like, dang, I know you're gonna break my heart in August. It's really
Yeah.
sad, Holmes. Really sad.
I don't know why that's the case. Like, if it makes you happy and your students are more engaged and you've had this opportunity to kind of experiment and figure out how it works, why wouldn't you just keep doing it?
Those are the questions that I don't know the answers to. Like seriously, it's like part of changing the world is imagining a new one, right? And if you can't imagine the new one, you can't change squat. And if you perceive yourself as powerless even though you have the ability to change things because you've just proven it, then it's even more frustrating because you can't free somebody. People have to free themselves, which is also kind of like super disappointing. But tonight's show, we're going to talk about streaming and like it's super, I guess, interesting webs. And let me jump here. Yeah. Super interesting that streaming, first of all, got super popular over the pandemic, right? It's one of the things we should not forget. This show started as a result of the pandemic. No pandemic, it would not have pushed us into this space. All right. And I guess my question is for you as a software developer, and you worked the mobile learning conference as well, and you kind of spoke a little bit earlier about this. Like, what is the power of video in terms of evincing? If I have to help you through a problem, as just not Joe on YouTube, but Webs, I come to you, I have an issue. You know, you're my friend. I say, hey, Webs, I can't do X, Y, Z. What is the power of us in a Zoom meeting or Google Meet or screen sharing or whatever? What is the power of that? And does that happen in software development?
Oh yeah, for sure. So one particular instance that actually happened on Tuesday, I was working with a lady over email, and she was emailing me back and forth. I was trying to get sort of what her issue was. And the thing that, there's a couple problems with exchanging over email. And we've talked about how when you're doing a virtual event, particularly a virtual conference, you want to have some sort of real-time way for both presenters and attendees to get in touch with you, because email is too slow in that situation. You don't know if it's going to make it through a filter. You don't know. There are a lot of problems with that. So you want to have some sort of real-time way of communicating with people. And in this case, we had a Zoom help desk. So we could just send people the Zoom link and they could jump in. Even if they couldn't get into the platform we were using for the conference, they could still jump into this Zoom and we could troubleshoot their issue. So this lady and I were going back and forth, and I'd ask her some questions, and I could tell she was flustered because she wouldn't answer my questions. She would just give me more new information. And so after about an hour and a half, and I had suggested a couple times, like, hey, why don't you just join the Zoom and I can help you in real time? She did join the Zoom, and we solved her problem in less than 5 minutes. Because what we could do in that video session was I could ask her to share her screen. She could show me exactly what she's seeing, exactly what she's doing. I could tell her what to click on. If I needed to, I could have taken over her mouse and remotely controlled her computer. But it was just a matter of she needed to sign out and then sign back in with a different email address. She did run into a hiccup where when she tried to get the magic link to sign in and clicked on the button, whatever computer system she was on, like, I don't know if it was an internet thing or if it was her specific like school email, but it registered it as being malicious. So we had to kind of have this other route to be able to access the link. But I wouldn't have known that. And she may not have thought to tell me if we were still trying to communicate over text. So that's one example. Another example is like in my day-to-day at my job. I mean, there are so many times, like, first of all, we do real-time pairing like all day. So we'll get in a shared Zoom room or a Teams room or whatever. We have an open channel that's just open pairing. And people start rooms all the time. You can drop in and out. You're sharing your screen and you're working together to solve a problem. We also have a channel for basically like a little help desk for our customers as we're called the delivery ecosystem team. So the application developers are our customers. And when they're stuck on something, a lot of times, sometimes we'll communicate back and forth over chat, but sometimes it'll just be like, can we just jump into a room real quick? I can help you troubleshoot this. For the same reason, you can actually like share your screen and we can both have, because I think this is the power of that particular situation. You now have a shared understanding of what's happening. When someone's trying to communicate what they think is happening, you're dealing with this filter of they're reporting what they perceive as important. And there may be something that they think is like not a big deal that they gloss over that actually is a really big deal. And when you're actually screen sharing, you're seeing the same thing. So you're capturing, as the person who's doing the troubleshooting, who has a little bit more background knowledge, you know what other things to pay attention to. Perfect example. There was another lady. She was frustrated. She couldn't see the replays. So she jumped into the Zoom, she shared her screen, and she said the videos weren't showing up. And so we didn't know if that meant like videos weren't showing up because it was saying like this video is still processing, or videos weren't showing up in some other way. But when I saw her screen, I could see there was just no video there. There was no placeholder, nothing. But I also noticed in the upper right-hand corner, her browser said that it was due for an update. And so I told her, I was like, I bet if you update your browser, because I noticed in the upper corner, it says you need an update, it'll probably solve your problem. And sure enough, it did. Like I said, if you are still having trouble, come back. But if not, then, you know, you're good. And she never came back. So I'm assuming she was fine. But like, that's something she probably wouldn't have thought to say, oh, it looks like my browser needs an update. Could that be the problem? So that shared screen thing and like having that real-time video of seeing what's happening is so much more powerful than trying to communicate over text.
So, in a roundabout way, we're going to talk about that, because one of the things, and I was conversing with a couple teachers today about this, and then just got off of a PBS show, streaming with PBS, and kind of we had some of the similar themes. Teachers are stressed, all right? And so one of the things that
not a new problem.
Yeah, but this is a problem that, given the technology we have at our fingertips, not that we can eliminate stress totally, but we can mitigate a lot of the stressors, such as at no point in the near future are you going to have less than 35 kids in fifth grade. It's just something that's not going to happen, fam. You're going to have 35 kids. And you can say, oh my God, I have 35 kids. That is not going to solve the problem, right? So proactively, how does one divide the 35 students into smaller groups that are not 35 students that I can mitigate and deal with in a far easier manner than saying I'm going to a whole group instruct 95% of the time, knowing that Bob in the back is not going to be paying attention, Susie over there on the left-hand side is asleep, and you know whatnot. And so we're going to talk about streaming. We're going to kind of define streaming as well. We'll talk about streaming and why streaming and the whole filmed in front of a live studio audience concept can really help teachers mitigate some of the sage and the stageness, right? So if you need to do that, the thing that I found powerful about video webs is I know exactly how long I spoke. Like when you're doing it live, you will go on and on and on and on and on and on. If I know I've got a video, I know it is 7 minutes and 23 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. It'll take me exactly that time. And I'm going to ask you to go back when you had to go and write lesson plans. All right. So when you had to go back and write lesson plans, you had to understand in some kind of strange Loki type way. Shout out to Disney for the Loki series with the, running through the time authority. Our class is 50 minutes. I'm going to talk for 10 minutes. Like, how do you know you're going to talk for 10 minutes?
I think that's actually one of the hardest things to learn as a teacher is pacing. Understanding like how long you're taking for each, because the most common complaint I would hear all the time from administrators when I was coaching teachers is it would always be where they get through all the sections of the lesson plan and they'd cut the closing because they ran out of time. Like how many times that, all right, well, we're going to have to cut this for time. We're going to have to, when I first started as a student teacher, my pacing was such trash. I had no concept of how long it took me. I couldn't tell what a 10-minute segment was versus 20 versus a half an hour. I mean, fortunately, I've gotten better at it because of a decade's worth of teaching lessons. Like, I don't know if you have this, and I'd be interested to hear from teachers in the audience too. You just have a feeling for time as a teacher. Like, you don't have that?
No.
Okay. I just have a feeling for time now. Like, I can sense when about 10 minutes has passed. I can tell like 30 seconds from 2 minutes, and like, I don't know. I just got that like sort of internal clock from teaching. So I knew exactly how long I had to do everything.
I have no idea how much time anything takes. Right. And that's one of the reasons, again, I like to record stuff. Like
that's true. Well, when we pair on things, I'm always having to tell you, hey, we're over time. Hey, we're running over time.
No idea. And I don't wear watches. Like my phone is my clock. Like Literally, if my phone is across the room, I don't know what time it is. And I will say that 99.9% of the students I've taught also have no sense of time whatsoever.
Oh, definitely. Kids are terrible about time. They have
So
zero concept of time.
functionally, it is another reason why I enjoy utilizing the technology, where I know absolutely this is how much it is. A 7 minute and 15-second video. That is how long it is. I don't need to say squat. Watch the video. I know when it turns off, it's 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Great. The way that I do most of my work is workshop style. That way, it's like, hey, you're working with your group, just work with your group. Boom, boom, boom. These are the things you need to get down, handle your business. Then time is not as impactful as I've got to do this thing, and then this thing, and then this thing, and this thing, and in 50 minutes. That's not, first of all, I'm now arbitrarily cutting off educational opportunities because I'm saying I am using precognition to say this is going to take 12 minutes and 30. How do I know? What if some kid in the back asks some question that's really juicy, but I'm like, we can't answer that question. We get, because the time says we get, like, I don't want to fall into those paradoxes.
Also, this is something that's always kind of bothered me is, at least in our district, we have a prescriptive amount of minutes that we're supposed to spend on each like block of curriculum, right? Like 90 minutes for math, I think 110 minutes for ELA, and 50 minutes or 60 minutes for writing, something like that.
Yeah, something like
30 minutes for science, 30 minutes for social studies. But in the same breath, in the same vein, we are supposed to differentiate. So we acknowledge that students learn at different rates and in different ways, and yet we'll be prescriptive about how much time you're allowed to spend on that thing, which I don't understand.
And
That
also,
seems to be contradictory.
how is it humanly possible for you to calculate those numbers and then regulate said calculations? Impossible.
Yeah.
Right? Because for every teacher like you that has that natural clock, is a teacher like me that's like, I don't know. Sometimes we go over here. Sometimes we take a little bit off this one. Then we move this. Then I mix the things. So I don't know how much time was actually math and how much time was actually science. Like, it gets to a point where it's bureaucracy at that point, and it's not actually, we're not having an actual conversation about, and this is why I have had these continual conversations with people about, we shouldn't be worried about time, we should be worried about products, right? If I got a product and I'm able to articulate, this is what we learned in math, this is what we learned in English, whatever. This is the product that I built. I'm going to defend why this product meets whatever, it solves the problem that was given to the class. Then it's not a time thing, it is a tangible thing, right? Because time ain't tangible. I can write on those, what's the thing, 109 or whatever you put on your door, where you put
the 109.
Like, oh yeah, and so man, I'd be lying on that thing. I'd lie the whole year. Like, and then the principal come through, you're supposed to be teaching math now. Guess what? We doing science. Because our science took longer, and I'm not going to stop this hustle because it's math time, because the math will bleed into. So why would I arbitrarily stop kids from learning something because, you know what? District says it's science time is over. No, we having fun. We doing what we need to do. The kids are making stuff and they're able to articulate what we just learned in it also Webs encourages people to arbitrarily put their content areas into boxes, right? I'm not encouraging me to play with my food. I'm saying English always stays over here, math always stays over there.
That's what I was just about to say. Like, in my job, I don't say, okay, now we're going to do the math portion of the job. All right, now we're going to do the writing portion of the job. Like, that's not how that works. I've never understood why we separate things into subjects, and especially in elementary school. I can understand maybe in secondary you start to get into these very like niche areas of knowledge, like specifically biology or specifically chemistry. But like in elementary school, I do not understand why we keep those things so separate.
Even in middle school, right? You learn systems by leveraging other systems. Like, my understanding of one system is because I understand how it is like or dislike another system. It's not, I'm not going to learn anything in a vacuum, right? And that's kind of what I kind of got into I got frustrated today with was, and this saga, I've spoken to you about the saga already, but I got a gentleman who's really good at creating music, really good, like preternaturally good. And I've sent emails to people like, look, I need a program for this kid. I really, this kid really needs this stuff to be able to rock and roll. He's really good. And constantly it's been this pushback of that doesn't exist. No, we can't accommodate that. Um, this adult centered, this is how the hierarchy works. And if you don't like it, then he's going to have to just play the instrument like everybody else does. And it got me thinking after the show with PBS tonight. This is totally off topic, but it is what it is. Got me thinking, for every one of this kid, how many other kids are just like him that if you gave them this option to do it this way, they would be like, oh, I can do it like this. Now I'm interested in a place where I'll be underrepresented because I see the connections between this style of music that I listen to in mariachi or band or choir or whatever. And now I can see this mixture of how these systems meet. And now perhaps I'm going to be more amenable to the choir director saying, hey, you know what? Choir is cool. Oh yeah, it is cool because I get to go and mix this stuff that I really like into these traditional songs that you're trying to push on me.
I bet there's a ton of kids out there like that. And the really frustrating part is we talk about how we want to reach kids, we want to engage kids, but the minute we're given the opportunity and they tell us exactly what they want, we shut it down because the adult system is more important. The comfort of the adults is more important than figuring out how best to serve these kids. The structure, maintaining the existing structure of how school works is more important than this kid getting his needs met.
Big facts, man. And it's depressing. Like it's really depressing. Um and when you see like really talented teachers still fall back into the no, this is what I've been handed, so this is what I'm gonna do. And you're like, okay, fam. I know you knit at home. I know you go fishing. I know you have all these passions that if you were to expose your kids to these things, especially kids of color who perhaps don't see those things as options, right? And don't see those things as things that are possible and accessible to them, you would probably get some people saying, that's pretty dope what you're doing. Can you show me how that works? And then how can we spin that into the context of our English class, of our science class, of whatever?
My last year of teaching, I got obsessed with learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And so I had one on my desk and I practiced with it because there's an algorithm you can follow from at any point to be able to solve a Rubik's Cube. And my kids noticed that I would fidget with my Rubik's Cube and they got really interested. Like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I found this YouTube video, which now I'm realizing like this very much encompasses all the things we've been talking about. I found this YouTube video where this guy shows you how to do this algorithm. It's just this pattern where you can, no matter where you are in the Rubik's Cube, you follow this pattern and you can solve it. And the kids got obsessed. All it took was me showing interest in a thing and telling them about it. And they just went off the deep end. It became the #1 prize of things that they could buy with their economy money. Like I must have bought well over a dozen Rubik's Cubes. I'd go to the store next to school and like buy all the Rubik's Cubes that they had. I just had a stash of Rubik's Cubes for whenever they would like have store day or whatever. And there were just Rubik's Cubes constantly floating around my classroom. And like they'd play with them and fidget with them. And it didn't bother me. Like I didn't care as long as your work gets done. Why do I give a crap? And they were super interested. They'd look up the YouTube videos and they'd follow them. And they found different ways to solve them. And it is so easy for kids to, if you're enthusiastic about something, for them to pick up on that enthusiasm and want to run with it. Because they're just naturally curious. So they want to know about things that you're interested in as long as you make it seem interesting. As long as you are genuinely interested. Like they pick up on that passion.
Facts. I mean, think about your relationship with the grown-ups in your life. You eat certain foods because you saw the grown-ups in your house eating certain foods. You listen to certain music because the grown-ups in your house listen to that music. A lot of those things weren't even conscious choices. It was just like, hey, okay, I'm in an environment in which this is acceptable, hence I will like this too. And if, so I don't know, like I've got kids that are now Jimi Hendrix fans because I always take Jimi Hendrix posters on my wall. Green Lantern is their favorite character. When they came in, it was Batman. Now it's Green Lantern. Why? Because I had a Green Lantern person in there. Doctor Doom. They knew who Doctor Doom was. Oh yeah, Doctor Doom. Yeah. I love Doctor Doom too, Mr. Lane. Tell me something about Doctor Doom. I love him though. I mean, so there's always this if we use our powers for good, right? You can go and you can hypnotize kids to do pretty much anything you would like them to do, but utilizing that passion, that identity to be imaginative in how we go and create lessons to make sure that they understand stuff, and allowing them to bring themselves to the classroom as well. I hate the fact that we think the kids come into school tabula rasa, right? Like they have I know that kid doesn't know anything. This is the curriculum, so we're just going to do the curriculum, and you have no idea about anything.
Or if they do know something, the assumption is they learned it in school before, and like they can't learn anything on their own for some reason.
School is responsible for anything this kid can comprehend or not comprehend. Ridiculous. Anyway, that was an aside.
Back to streaming.
A very lengthy aside, but it is what it is. All right, so kind of why streaming is a thing. All right. And we're not going to say, when I'm talking streaming here, Webs, I'm not saying doing what we're doing right now, right? In terms of you are taking class time. And you could do this. Now, this is totally something you could do. I'm not saying you can't do this. Something totally you could do. However, and I'm thinking about my experience inside Clark County School District. If your Wi-Fi is not updated, probably gonna have some difficulties doing stuff live. So we had that experience. We're try to run the streaming software at school, and it was just like not a thing that's happening because the Wi-Fi just was not good. Now, so the way that we're going to reconceptualize streaming is on-demand content that plays at a given time live. That's how we're going to rebrand it here. Now, again.
Like shows on Apple Plus, like Loki, right? Absolutely. So you can't watch every single episode of Loki. There's a new episode that comes. It's like old school TV.
Absolutely. And so we're going to look at it again. That's why that live film live in front of a studio audience kind of really encapsulates the idea here. And this is more than possible, more than doable, but why do it this way? So the first reason, Webs, I would do it this way is to create a creative constraint. All right. So we're talking about kids like, oh yeah, you can go at whatever pace you want. That's cool. But oftentimes going at whatever pace you want isn't actually what I want you to do, right? I want there to be a forced reflective period, a forced contemplation period, a forced opportunity for you to reevaluate the work that you were doing. So I don't want all the low-key episodes to be able to be binge watched, because I want you to have conversations with people in between the weeks to say, did you catch the Easter egg over there? That was really dope. I didn't understand this part. Oh my goodness, we could talk about it. Forces you to have a creative constraint. Go ahead, Webs.
I was just saying to my roommate, like I am torn because on one hand, I wish I could, like, I can't wait for the next episode to come out. But on the other hand, one of my favorite things to do after I've watched the episode is watch all the breakdowns and fan theories and Easter eggs, wrong kind of eggs. All the Easter eggs and people's takes and their thoughts and things I might have missed. Like consuming that content is one of my favorite things to do as well. And exactly like you said, I spend the week thinking about like, oh, how does this tie in with episode 1? Oh, I wonder what's going on with Miss Minutes. Oh, I wonder why this is here and that's there. And why do they take it in this direction? I reflect a lot on the episode itself. Like this last episode all happened in one place. And it was like, oh, that's an interesting choice. I wonder why they decided to go that route. Why didn't they go back to this character or that character? So like being forced, like you said, to stop and pause and think about the content, because I don't have any new content coming in for a while, is really a different way of like consuming it. Because if I'm binging, there isn't that forced stop and contemplation period. And I just go on to the next episode. And I really like something about that like pause that you have between episodes.
And also, I tend to binge when I'm by myself. If if Monica and I watch a show, we tend to stop, pause the show, have conversations about stuff like, "Hey, that part was really dope." Nah, that let me go Google that really quickly. That's not true. Now, when there's someone else there to facilitate a conversation or a necessity for a conversation, it also adds another layer of exchange of information, right? You saw it from a perspective that I didn't get it. When I'm sitting up here working at night, shows is just going on and on and on and on. I'm catching bits and pieces of it. I may say, okay, cool, let me go rewind that. I don't know if that. Oh, I wish someone was up so I can go and convert. You want to share information with people because you want someone else's take on it.
My roommate and I joke around that when we go to watch a YouTube video, if it's like a 10-minute YouTube video, it'll take us like half an hour, 45 minutes to watch it because we're pausing like every 2 minutes to have a conversation about something related to whatever we're watching.
Absolutely. And that is one of the powers of, okay, every day at 9 o'clock, this video is going to stream. Now, it's not going to be there until 9 o'clock. It pops up. Oh my goodness. Now I have, first of all, I've created anticipation, right? I've created some excitement. I got this situation where, look, let's open canvas. The show's about to start. Okay, cool. Put my headphones on. And then right afterward, oh my goodness. That was amazing. Let's talk about the quadratic equation and how the quadratic equation helps us build better houses. Oh, yeah, that was cool because they did it. And now we have this conversation going on, and no one can go ahead of anybody else because there's nowhere to go ahead to. So, again, differentiation and that whole student pay situation is great in a lot of ways. I think in terms of projects and building products, absolutely possible. But in terms of being able to, in a lot of ways, to the next point, to eliminate the need for Sage on the stage. If you go and you record your stand up, your opening salvo or whatever, you know exactly how long it takes. You could be walking around the classroom doing other things, and you're still delivering that content to your students with the ability to say, I need to pull a small group right now. I need to go and talk to Bob in the back because he didn't put his project together the correct way or whatever. It lessens the stress of having to say, hey, look at me in the front, and gives kids the ability to, at their own pace, watch the video as it is live, but at the same time not go so far ahead of you that you can't go and keep tabs on individuals. So that's the second kind of big point to me. What say you, Webbs?
Well, you're hitting the octalysis framework again with that scarcity piece. Like, it's not a thing I can get on demand. I'm used to, and I think it adds a nice dimension of heterogeneity too, because you have a lot of this content that is on demand that they can get at any time. But now you're creating something different. This is different layer of like, if we are following our 109 and math is at 10 a.m. every day, then the math lesson can go live at 10 a.m. and they know like, okay, cool, this is when we have our math lesson, or this is when the next episode of Number Detectives comes out, or whatever you want to call it. And that can create some excitement because of that scarcity piece. It's not something they can get whenever they want.
Even if you were like, I'm going to go and create videos that have no academic tie-in whatsoever. The joke of the day comes on every day at 9:45. Cool. Now you would have kids looking at the clock to say, now I'm interested in what time it is, because every day at 9:45 the joke of the day pops on. I want to laugh a couple minutes with my boys about the joke of the day. Or we're doing XYZ History Month, and every day at 9:50 we're going to learn about women's history or black history or whatever the history, or the school history or something. Or you have kids create their own videos and have this situation where every day at a certain time, some different person's product is shown at that particular time. These are not things that are impossible. These are things that are very easy to do, actually. Not difficult at all. Laughingly easy to accomplish.
How? Like,
ridiculously easy. And so I'm going to show you the free tools that you can do this. This is also really cool to, I mean, send stuff to your Facebook, send stuff. I mean, Twitter doesn't work as well because they're getting rid of Periscope, but I think they've gotten rid of Periscope, if I'm not mistaken. I think Periscope is gone. But if you Twitch or anything like that, it's a really great way. It's also a good way, wink, wink, to make people believe that you're in certain places when you're not. So it's another, it's a
Ooh.
wonderful way to make it. Oh, this is live. Actually, I'm asleep, but I just scheduled this video to happen at 9 o'clock because I wanted to get an extra hour of sleep. So people think this stuff is popping off. Now, did I do the work to shoot the video? Absolutely. I just did it on my own time, and I'm like, I'm reclaiming my time in the words of Vaccine Waters. So that being the case, how do we actually run through and do this stuff? All right. So the tools. And the tools are free. And I'm gonna give a shout out to OneStream Live. They saved my bacon. I was looking for one of the things that I do is I hoard digital tools. I'll just like
Oh my God. It's so true.
and so
I've never met anyone who hoards digital tools the way that you do. I have an ongoing list of tools you have purchased, and I'm sure it is not complete.
you never know when you're gonna need stuff. And it's really cool when you're like, hey, do we have a tool that does this? And I'm like, yeah, we got a tool that does that. I bought that like 3 years ago, fam. It's just sitting in the joint waiting to be used, right? So this tool actually I purchased, I want to say 2 years ago, whatever. I just saw. So one of the things that if you're a teacher, you want things at a cheap rate. They're either going to be stay free or be free. They'll be cheap enough that you can get a lifetime version of the product and not have to pay for it again if you're thinking on the margins. All right. And even if it's not the value of the tool isn't immediately noticeable to you, there will come a time in which you'll kind of think about stuff as you get deeper into building content where you're like, I definitely have that tool. I bought that tool 3 years ago or whatever for $50 or whatever it was, and I can keep it moving. That's just like, looking at it from if you think about commerce in coffee, hey, I'm gonna buy this thing for $50 and I'm not gonna drink coffee for the rest of this week. Or I'm gonna buy one bag of coffee from Smith's, and I'm just gonna make my own coffee this week, and that's how I can kind of leverage how things work out. Or you have a situation where you and a group of teachers go and purchase something, and we just share the login amongst one another, and we're like, all right, cool. So you're gonna make a generic account, which we all get the access to it. We all put the $5 in, we buy the tool, and we rock and roll with it. All right, so that's another way around trying to split the money. But the tools that we're going to deal with today is in I'm going to actually log out of OneStream so I can show you how to log in. All right, cool. So OneStream Live is super easy to use. Oh, let me go back to OneStream. My bad, people. So when I saw the following, and this is me before the pandemic, when I saw live stream reel and recorded videos, I was like, fam, this gives me ideas. Now, the ideas might not be just like, standing in my face now, but there might come a time in which I want to create videos and send them out when I am not actually streaming live. Very interesting prospect. Now, you can sign up for free for this tool, and the free version is probably going to be enough for you as an instructor. This is not one that you necessarily have to purchase, but it's really, really a cool tool. So if you decide that, hey, you want to create your own show, $10 a month is $120 a year, right? But the free deal with no credit card, unlimited live streaming, pre-recorded streaming. That's all we want right there. All right. We don't need the multicasting. We don't need we don't need real-time streaming. All we need is that pre-recorded deal. If you want the real-time streaming, there are other avenues that you can deal with. But that pre-recorded streaming, that is gold, because generally, especially in older buildings, you're not going to be able to stream live anyway, and there's other tools that you can do that with. All right. One stream queued at a time. That's all you're going to need. All right. 5 minutes max recorded stream. Great. Keep your stuff nice and short. You can do 15 minutes max here, 5 minutes max creative. Call it a creative constraint, right? a situation in which we're going to TikTok these videos times 5, right? We're not going to go on and on about stuff. We're going to keep it to 5 minutes. Also great for your students to say, hey, I want a video that's 3 to 5 minutes, because if we're going to go and stream this thing to, wherever we're going to stream, we're going to do that. No captions and subtitles. Don't worry about that, because where you're going to send it is going to have captions and subtitles. So don't sweat that at all. All right. You can record through the camera. Not my favorite situation, especially if it's like a Chromebook or something like that. Your camera's going to not be good. All right. But you can do screen capturing as well. So if you wanted to stream some screen capturing, you can do that. But let's go ahead and sign in here. And the wonderfulness of signing in with the Googles. So as a Clark County School District teacher, you already got the Googles. I'm going to sign in with my Googles. Bada bing. And when you sign in with the Googles, it's going to look like this. Now, the social media stuff is all going to be there. Wonderful, fine. They have more social media options than I knew existed at the time. Don't get in trouble with the OnlyFans deal. Don't do the OnlyFans, teacher people. We don't want to get you hemmed up.
I have a friend who has an OnlyFans page that shares only videos of fans, like air fans.
Oh my god! how many subscribers does he have? What she have?
I have no idea. Indeed. Shout out to Taco Dog.
Oh, indeed, the homie Taco Dog. But you see that you have a lot of options here, right? But the option that if you're a Clark County School District, this is something to experiment with, definitely. And again, $10 a month, even at that price, that's 2 coffees, right? It's 2 coffees a month. If you were to utilize and create an actual account with an email and create an email that you and your grade level could share, you did the $10 a month deal, then you would have extra options. But let's just say you're doing the free one. We're not going to do any of these. We're going to go here to custom Rtmp. Now, the custom Rtmp.
What is Rtmp?
I don't even know what does Rtmp stand for.
I have no idea.
I have no idea what it stands for either. I just know what it does.
Let's find out. So, real-time messaging protocol.
Bada bing. So, what the Rtmp situation...
I'd like to point out that you've been streaming for a while and didn't know what Rtmp meant, because that's not necessary for understanding how to stream.
Bada bing. Exactamundo. I know what Rtmp means in terms of what it does. I had no idea what the letters meant. But anyway, so what it stands for is exactly what it does. It is going to say, yo, OneStream, I'm going to upload something to you. You're going to talk to this other place and send it there. That's all it means. There's going to be this conversation. So messaging is exactly what it is. This conversation between a OneStream Live and the place that I have designated this to go. And you got 20% off if you join the Facebook community. So they're going to try to, they'll be invasive in terms of, you checking out stuff, but you get 20% off. Anyway, so the basic idea here is I can call it whatever. So I'm going to call this Mr. Lang's class. All right. Platform's going to be custom because I'm going to tell it where it's going to go, and it's not here. All right. You're going to have a URL for a server for any place that you send this information, whether it's YouTube, Vimeo, etc. And we're not going to show you all that stuff because then you would steal stuff and be able to send stuff to our place. So we're not going to show you all that. But there is a custom URL and a stream key usually. Now, the tool that we're going to use today that every Clark County School District teacher has access to does not have a stream key in this manner. It's a little stranger. All right. So I'm going to show you where it is, but I'm not going to show you what it is, which is going to be weird. But anyway, now the bit rates and the frame rates. These are important to deal with in terms of we don't want to send so much information, especially again, this is when the bandwidth situation comes through. The classroom cast sometimes gets a little overwhelmed, but you can go and play around with the frame rates. 30 generally is where I keep it. You can change the bit rates, and usually you can change that or up it. 96 is fine. Keyframes, can you make the keyframes fast? You probably don't want to deal with that. Max resolution 720p. Generally, that's going to make everything work the way you need it to work. If you make it 1080p, more information is bigger, the stream is larger. If you're sending stuff to YouTube and stuff, it's fine. But your Chromebooks, if you're using Chromebooks, can only deal with that. So there's no reason to send anything more better than that. Audio encoding and video encoding, you definitely want that. You don't really need to stream authentication in terms of the classroom cast. What the cool thing about OneStream is going to be is when this goes live, you're going to get an email from them saying, yo, your stream just went live. It was super helpful when I used this tool every day from February to the end of the school year, 330 shows, 6 shows a day to pump this thing out so that I would be able to be more of an engineer and less of a straight live streamer. Did I hop on live sometimes? Absolutely. But it was a lot easier for me to just mitigate coming in here and changing the bit rate when it got a little too far, or talking to our good friends in Classroom Cast. They did a great job of walking me through a lot of things when things got like really rushed. So we're gonna keep that here because we're gonna come back and we're gonna play around with that. Now, you have the ability to use Classroom Cast, and Classroom Cast is where I would tell you if you had to send your information one place, send it to Classroom Cast. Could you also send it to YouTube? Absolutely, positively. But Classroom Cast, in terms of being able to troubleshoot, because this is a district product maintained by the district, to troubleshoot this, a lot easier. There'll be somebody generally around to help you out with it. But you'll notice here on the left-hand side here, these are all the shows that we stream. 19 pages worth, 333 shows that I put together with my amazing specialist team. They all rock stars. Now, in terms of this situation, I'm going to come up here to the right-hand side and we're going to create an event. When we create the event, we're going to call it Joke of the Day. So again, I'm going to have some situation where we're going to have a specific time every day that we stop and we listen to some corny joke. Every student that I've ever taught has some corny joke they learned off of TV, off of the popsicle stick or something they want to tell people. Wouldn't it be funny to just record a kid every day doing that and then upload the video and shoot it out? Webs.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow who?
Moo! Shout out to Oscar, my student in my very first class, who told me that joke on a day when I wanted to cry, and I started laughing so hard.
Indeed. Well, I mean, that's kind of the restorative, ability of corny jokes, right? We start laughing about stuff, and you're like, all right, that was so bad, it was good. You can put a description here. So these be the jokes. All right, cool. Now, this is the dope part here. And this is the same in YouTube. YouTube has the same circumstance here. But I'm going to say, all right, cool. I'm going to start this tomorrow. And I'm going to start this at every day at 9, say it's 9:45. And we're going to make that 9:45 a.m. All right, cool. Pacific time, event type. I want it to be closed captioned so that if there are words that are being spoken, it's there. We're going to make that a multi-bit rate event. And that's going to go in the variance in terms of if it loses, it's going to really improve the quality of our stream there. All right, cool. In date and time. I can say, you know what? I want this event to end. Oh, I said Friday, right? What day was that? July 25th. All right. I want that to end every day. It's a 5-minute stream, so it's going to be at 9:50 a.m. All right, cool. Excellent. Select manager is going to be me. It's going to be on my channel. You could say, whatever the deal is. All right, cool. That situation, I'm going to say I want that to be translated in Spanish. Bada bing. So I would see not only the closed captions in English, but also in Spanish. All right. So if you've got kids that speak Tagalog, I believe I still got Tagalog in there. So we can essentially, and there are like 60 languages this can be translated in. You can go through and have that. If there are languages that need to be added to your stream, those languages can be added without a problem. All right. One of the things you can do is display on the homepage so everyone can watch the joke if that's one of the things that you want to do. That's there. All right. I can go advanced. So I can also send this to YouTube. So this is the way you can get away with the free version in OneStream. I can have it sent from OneStream in here, and YouTube is going to have a streaming key. I'm actually going to show you where that is right now. If you click that button up there at the top, that go live, your streaming key and all that information is going to be available to you. All right. So if you go to YouTube, it's right. So that's me logged in as a Clark County School District teacher. That's my alert. That's the app launcher. Right next to that is the camera. Go live is where you want to go in order to get the stream key for YouTube. But again, you don't have to deal with it. You can also go to streaming through Facebook. So perhaps you get really good at this in your school. Also want you to go and do PD for your school community or something like that. There that is as well. All right, so I'm going to scroll over. You can also add PDFs and whatnot to this situation. So perhaps, again, I want to do my 5 minutes of here is the introduction to the lesson, and then there is an assignment for you to do. I can attach that file there. You're going to find, say we're going to have those the situation where you're going to watch this video webs, and then I'm going to give you some questions you need to ask a partner in order to go and debrief about this episode of the Loki Show Teaches the Math or whatever it is. All right. And so this is the deal, the recurrence. So I can say, yo, I want this to be a daily occurrence. It's going to start tomorrow. It's going to end at the end of the school year.
This is, by the way, a great example of automation. Like this way it's all set up and you don't have to do anything special. It'll just automatically run.
And you can also say, I'm going to have it all the weekdays. So it'll play all the weekdays. So it's going to go from the 25th of June to the 15th of April, but not on the weekends, only on the weekdays. We create the event or cloud capture. Now, doing the live archive, I always like to do it as well on my deal. So it will capture it in the cloud. So it will record it and save it. We're going to make sure it's translated into different languages as it's being crowd captured. So that's going to give you the ability to not only have the live stream there, but also have that video live on after the live stream. So if a kid wants to see the joke of the day from 3 weeks ago, they can go watch the joke of the day from 3 weeks ago. All right. So the cloud capture, definitely turn it on. Go ahead, Webbs.
You said that frames per second, you do 30 frames per second. Is that correct?
Yep. I just keep it the default. Now you can put it down to 24 frames per second. Generally, what I did in a lot of the stuff that I've learned about streaming has been going to people who are better streamers than I am and listening to them and reading their stuff. And so I've gone down to 24. I've gone up to 30. Depends on the camera. Depends if it's live or not. In this point, in this from our perspective now, none of this is live. This is going to be a pre-recorded video that you upload. So the frames per second isn't as important as if I had a camera and that camera had to go at 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second or whatever. And I'm shooting it live like we're shooting it live right now. Different scenario. All right. So that's there. You would create the event. Yeah, I know. Let's do it that way. Oh, because we're after the time. Genius. All right, cool. Let's do it. It's going to play that day anyway. Let's do it 28. All right, cool. So it'll create the event for me or whatever. I'm going to click up here. Oops. Cool. And I'm going to switch my screen here because I don't want you to see certain things. All right, cool. So I'm going to split to us talking so I can go and do some magic behind the scenes here. So in terms of the streaming deal, the OneStream Live will give you the 5 minutes for free. It's $10 a month. YouTube will also do the live streaming. I had some issues with YouTube. This is the reason why I went to Classroom Cast at the beginning. So I would use YouTube as a kind of a default backup type situation if I were you, and not yes, I'm going to throw everything on YouTube and then suddenly it doesn't work and then you got egg on your face. A lot easier way to deal with this stuff. So right now what I'm doing is I'm getting the server in the stream key from Classroom Cast, and I'm putting it into OneStream.
And the reason why you can't broadcast that is because the stream key is basically like a password. So from Classroom Cast, each teacher will have, you probably have different URLs, which by themselves don't matter. But in order to make sure that like some rando can't stream to your channel, you also have to have a stream key, which is just like a password. So you want to make sure you protect that stream key the same way that you would a password. You could add it to your password manager, which you should totally have set up because that's a great thing to have. You could add it as a password, or you could put it in a secure note if you wanted to do it that way as well. But you want to make sure you protect that, which is why Mike is not displaying it on the screen.
Yep. And so I'm going to throw that in there. And next. All right, cool. So, your students and social account created successfully. Great. So I've got that custom Rtmp there. That's wonderful. That works. All right, great. I'm going to go back out here because I'm going to have my screen again. So I'm going to go out of here and I'm going to move. So the problem is my stream key can be seen on that page, which kind of sucks. All right, let me move that way. Let me see if that actually does what I wanted to do.
Streaming about streaming is kind of meta.
Yeah, this is true. All right, cool. Excellent. All right, cool. So, in terms of this, the time's a little off or whatever, but you'll see it is waiting for a stream. So once it feels that, that video starts, that message starts to be sent from one stream, it'll pop off. You'll see the live thing here. The other cool thing is you'll see the statistics here as well. So you'll see how many kids are watching, how many devices are being watched from or whatever. It's really, really kind of cool to get that that extra data to also be able to give to your administrator to say, yep, every day at 9 o'clock we do our intro to the math lesson, and I've got 100% of kids who watch a thing and here are the statistics to show you this. After the stream goes, as the stream ends, you'll also get an email from Classroom Cast with the same data. They'll tell you how long everybody watched, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be able to keep that data on a daily basis. Really, really cool. All right. So you can force everything. So if something happens in the stream where it's not playing, you can force the stream to play. You can change those presets as well. You can go back, and until the thing goes live, you can go and edit this as much as you would like. All right. It's a totally straightforward kind of streamlined situation. If you are someone who's interested in Classroom Cast and kind of playing with Classroom Cast, please reach out. I have gotten very, very good with Classroom Cast and kind of like messing with other things that you could perhaps do that I don't think were intended to happen. But some things we use some third-party tools to kind of force certain realities into existence also works. But this is the deal. The reason why this is super dope is that if you were, first of all, you can download the videos. So that's another thing. You can download them all just like you can do in YouTube. You also have the ability to translate them into the different languages. So YouTube is going to put those things into English pretty easily. But if you got that kid who speaks Spanish in the back and also wants to last at the, was it chiste? Is that joke in Spanish? Yep, they also want to laugh, and you want to make sure that kid is having fun and laughing at the joke as well. We want to make sure those things get translated into the languages that are in your classroom. All right, now I'm going to switch out here for just a second. Now, in terms of your OneStream, it will show you the number of accounts that are attached. And again, for your streaming pleasure right now, I've got one, and it's that Rtmp. I just call it Lang 2020. That's the custom deal. I've thrown the key and the password inside there, stream key in the URL. It's totally cool. It works. Won't be a problem. That will go and it will work anywhere. Now, what do I want to have happen as well? I want this to be in Canvas. So how do we do that? And it's only going to take me a minute or two to do this. How do we get this into Canvas? So I'm going to magically find the embed code here. Give me just a second. Because I have my stream key in here. No, it does not. Cool. So I can show this. All right. So you'll see the very last one says codes, right? So we have the direct link to this video, wherever it was, and then this will be the persistent player. Now, the reason why you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the persistent player is that that is going to play no matter what or where. One of the things that got funky is, hey, I generate this code. Say I want it to be 1280 by 720, not generated. That's the code that I want. I'm going to come here, bada bing. And we always say embed your way to heaven. Bada bing. I can either the raw HTML or come over here to the cloud.
So it's really more like this is a broadcast than a stream, because I feel like stream implies live stream, where this is more like a broadcast.
Did that say live, Webs?
That says it live. Does say live. Yeah, that's live. True.
So my thing is, you can use this to make yourself become a magician. Like, oh my God, how is that live? How are you doing that, Mr. Lang? You're in the room with us. But this is live, though, right? So there's a situation where, again, the riff on the idea of live is hilarious. What you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner, which is also very cool, is what does that say at the bottom corner
there? Streams on 6/25 at 9:45 a.m.
So now you created this anticipation as well. Like, oh my goodness, the stream is there. It's going to be live. This is awesome. It tells me exactly when it's going to pop off. If it starts to come on, now kid knows what 9:45 is. This is what pops on. It's 9:45. We can do what we need to do by clockwork. Now you want to make sure that, again, if something happens, copy that. And one of the things I always do as well is give them a note.
Give them a note?
Yes. If the live stream doesn't start, use this link, because you will have all kind of weird things happen to kids' Chromebooks, and they're like, hey, Mr. Lang, it ain't come up for me, or something happened, or whatever. Great. Of course, I'd make that a little bigger and format it a little bit better or whatever. But this should work without a problem. But if it doesn't, click that link, kid, and that's going to take you where you need to go. All right. And Classroom Cast is a Clark County School District product, so it's not going to be blocked. That's the other thing, the reason why you want to utilize it. It's not going to be blocked. It's not going to be taken down unless some kind of catastrophic situation pops off. YouTube, who knows what the attitude with YouTube is going to be. We had that conversation before we went to pandemic, in which our friends at the school board were like, no, you can't use YouTube, and no, you can't access stuff, and we're going to block stuff. Well, this is a way to make sure that you are taken care of in that vein. Now, are you going to have the wealth of resources of YouTube here? No. Can you stream here? Yes. All right. So that is how I would roll. It is it's not as complicated as it looks, Webs. Like, it's a bunch of tools and stuff, but definitely the OneStream Live kind of handles just about everything for you. Makes it look pretty for you, and it makes you look like you're a boss when all you did was upload a video. Like, literally upload a video. And I didn't actually show that. Let me see if that shows my, hold on, give me a second. Yeah. All right, so I'll show this very quickly in the show. So, So there's multiple settings here. All right. Stream. Again, stream. It doesn't say pre-recorded video. It says stream. Upload video recorded. I can click it, or I can record the video right inside this. If you have a camera on your device, you can record what you need to record right there. Previous uploads. You got something that you've already done, and you just would need to have a repeat episode, as I did a couple times, where it was like PE was done by first in kinder, it was the same lesson. Great. Guess what? We just go remix that episode, fam. There's no reason for me to keep doing that. You can also take, if you attach your cloud storage to this deal, you can handle that business. But 5 gigs, you're probably not going to get 5 gigs. So if you're doing 5 gig videos, like you're like really up there, and I've got some other tools that you need to do to compress the video so it's not that big of a deal. All right. You can also schedule it inside here as well. All right. So you can say, I want this stream to go out at so and so time without Classroom Cast. You can say, I'm going to embed this thing here, and when it pops off, this is what's going to happen every day. So you can deal with that. And then the settings are going to show you the stream key, so I'm not going to click the settings button. But those are the other things you can rock and roll with. You can upload whatever videos are necessary here. And I believe you have, 60 days. So in 60 days, they'll be deleted automatically. I generally just deleted them as soon as I was finished with them, because Classroom Cast, if you use this cloud storage in Classroom Cast, it is going to save it there. So you don't need them to be in OneStream Live at all. All right. And streaming has become one of my passions. It's been fun. I like when we do the show. We essentially stream our conferences now too. So it's, when we do the conferences for people, it's all through streaming. We did South by Southwest with it was essentially a stream. So it has a lot of applications in the classroom. It is going to be fun to show kids on the other side now that we're back at school. Hey, you can do this too. It's not hard. If you are a parent out there, not just a parent, but anybody who's a gamer, I'm going to show you another tool just because it's fun. And this is one of the tools that my students used who are streamers. This works on Chromebooks. So this is going to be a bonus tool that you definitely, I'm going to push people. Classroom Cast is not a tool that kids can use for some strange reason. They do not have accounts. But this they could use. So this is the Melon app, and Melon is really dope. You see this looks similar to what we're working with now. It's free. It lets you log in with Google or with a YouTube account. So the kids, even though the YouTube accounts aren't functional YouTube accounts, they can still log in there and do what they need to do. And so they can create their own situations, have conversations. So how dope would it be for you to live stream a question about it, and then have the kids have to write a script and stream their reactions to your live stream in the classroom? Super dope. They can put their own images up there. It does brand it with the free account. It brands it with Melon, but who cares? The experience of streaming is amazing, especially for students who might be otherwise shy. For some reason, the streaming thing is really cool, and to be able to go and reflect this onto your screen in the front, and then have other kids use the chat function to say, hey, I thought that about Ms. Weber's lesson as well, and I don't think that carrots go in salad. So whatever it is, really, really cool situation. And this is totally free, or it's freemium. Are there prices and stuff along with it? Yes, but the kids can use this for free. So that would be if you wanted to get your little one into streaming very, very quickly, or if your little one had a YouTube account, you can stream right through YouTube as well. But Melon takes care of a lot of the audience interaction stuff. You can share your screen really easy in Melon. That's how a lot of kids are doing Roblox. So they were doing a lot with their Roblox situation. Hey, this is the Roblox game that I'm playing, and this is how I'm enjoying it or whatever. It will not work very well on Chromebooks with trying to connect to console games and stuff like that. But anything on your Chromebook would be fair game. All right.
Awesome.
A lot. We covered a lot. We ranted at the beginning.
But as we were doing that, I was writing blog posts. So now if you want the TLDR of everything we talked about, it is on our website, theintelligenthoodlums.com, along with the embed of this video.
Bet. So that is it. Well, we're off for a little while. July is kind of vacation and recharge time. And so we will see you all back in August. We're going to take the month of July off. We're going to have some heat. We'll be around. We'll be recharging and coming up with weirder ideas and stuff like that. I'll be eating blue crabs. I don't know. What is the Michigan food? What does one eat in Michigan?
Coney dogs, I guess.
How are they different from New York conies? Are they the same?
Well, because in Michigan, there's this chili stuff that we put on our Coney dogs, and usually do this chili stuff and then maybe mustard and onions. That's a pretty common thing there. I'm trying to think. Fago, like
The drink.
things that I like when I go home are Fago, Hanis from National Coney Island.
What is Hanis?
Uh, a Hani is like a wrap. It's like a pita bread with like cut up fried chicken tenders and lettuce and cheese. And I get mine with no mayo, add tzatziki and tomatoes. Did I say tomatoes? Lettuce, tomatoes, cheese.
Is it a Greek
I
thing?
think it might. I would not call it a Greek thing. However, something we have in Michigan that I've noticed we do not have in a lot of other places is an abundance of Coney Island restaurants. And Coney Island restaurants tend to have mostly Greek food combined with a diner. So, like most Coney Islands, you can get like spinach pie, you can get gyros, you can get spanakopita. Like you can get all these Greek foods at Coney Islands, along with like hotcakes, omelets,
Isn't there
Greek salads.
like it's a lot of Persian influence there, right? A lot of Persian people and stuff in Detroit.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. We have a really large. Oh my god, I'm totally drawing a blank, and I don't want to get it wrong. I can't think of the nationality of people. I'm drawing a blank, but and I don't want to get it wrong. So, but yes, we have a large like Middle Eastern community in Detroit, in Metro Detroit. We have a large Polish community in Metro Detroit. But yeah, that's one of the things I really like about going home is going to the Coney Islands because we just don't have those here.
And you got Detroit pizza, right? That's something you gotta have.
That's true. Oh my god, yes, Buddy's Pizza. Oh my god, I'm so excited for Buddy's Pizza. Buddy's is like the best Detroit pizza.
So I mean, as somebody who travels to eat, that is stuff. As those are questions you have to have. I haven't been to Detroit since I was at Notre Dame. That was like a long time ago. So I haven't been to Detroit to eat anything in a long time. So the Coneys I've never had. I'm not a big hot dog person. So yeah, it's interesting. The pizza though, I got the bootleg Pizza Hut version of the Detroit pizza, and I loved it. So I would like to taste the authentic joint. So
yeah, I wonder if there's a way for me to freeze one and bring one back. I'll have to think about that.
Is there is no Detroit style pizza place in Vegas?
Oh, there's one. It's Nathan's over. The only Nathan's I know. I don't know if there's more than one location. It's over at like Fort Apache and Flamingo, I think.
Interesting.
It's like way on the west side of town.
Interesting. But they have Detroit pizza.
They have Detroit style pizza. I when I lived over on that side of town, I'd go there a lot. Their pizza's pretty good.
Okay, so I mean,
it's no Buddies, but it's pretty good.
That's a Friday night. I'll sit and we'll watch TV and I'll eat the pizza because I mean I'm exhausted now. I know I'm gonna be even more exhausted tomorrow after my students are building their portfolio, the websites for their games and their movie. So it's dope that they're doing all this work, but they don't need me to do it. So it's kind of like, all right, okay. The good thing about automation is that you're not needed. The bad thing about automation is that you're not needed. So it is what it is. All right, That's all we got. We will see you in August. Stay creative, stay innovative, keep the faith and stuff. We'll be around. We got some heat coming for 21-22. We got some stuff that's going to pop off that's going to be really cool. So
indeed.
We will see you in August. Here's the last thing of this season of the Hoodlum Cultured. Indeed. God bless.